Hey, don't touch the dial, because we're back. It's SEIU Says. I'm Joanna Misnik, one of the great co-producers of this award-winning program. With me this evening,
Jerry Morrison.
Jerry Morrison, special guest, Executive Director of the SEIU Illinois Council, but more importantly, the guy who brought politics back to the city of Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, and we will talk with Jerry. And on the phones this evening, not her most chipper self, is Miss Sister, Sandy McMillan, who knows how to answer and knows what you're going to say before you even say it, so don't try it. We're on the phones tonight, 312-738-1060. Our topic is, Jerry, the recent elections and the Great Union Revolt. Start from the beginning and tell us the story of the Great Council War of 2006-2007. Wow.
Well, the beginning was...
In the beginning.
It was nearly a year and a half ago that SEIU leadership sat down and looked at these races and decided that this was an arena that our members really wanted us to play in, that this is something that was directly affecting not only our membership, but the community at large. And,
right.
We looked
Something was amiss in Chicago,
absolutely,
we're saying, right?
Absolutely. It was clear that the business community had great influence not only in city council but on the fifth floor, and that there needed to be some counter to that so that working families would have a voice.
Right.
And that was the original genesis of the entire project nearly a year and a half ago. I think people followed probably the big box fight closest and thought that was the impetus of it, but frankly that wasn't.
We were already on the case prior to Big... What was
Big
Box was like our opening gun of the thing?
Actually, Big Box was the straw that broke the camel's back, I think.
Okay.
We went out and spent a year and a half rating the aldermen and their voting records over the years. We looked at 18 different votes from Shackman to pay raises to fair and affordable housing and including Big Box.
Okay.
So it was not by any means the only thing we measured aldermen by, but
it's what we got our publicity on, right?
Clearly the biggest issue that made the most noise in the last year and a half.
Right. So we rated all these people, and we said what?
Well, we gave everyone a rating. We gave them an SEIU Working Families rating, and those that rated the lowest we looked at for targeting, and those that rated the best clearly are our friends, and I'm sure we could go down the list and everyone know the names of Rick Munoz and Tony Preckwinkle and Joe Moore.
Right.
Our friends who have been in the city council year after year standing up for working families fighting. And people probably know the names of the folks that haven't been there year after year after year.
Been there year after year, but they haven't been fighting for working families.
They have not.
Right.
And a few of them aren't there anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So our job, our objective, and I'm going to be blunt here because this is our show.
Certainly.
And, since we couldn't take on the mayor completely, and lots of our members would have liked to do that if there had been a viable alternative, which there didn't seem to be. We could take on this rubber stamp city council. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And turn the tide, turn the relations of forces, and get some pro-working family votes out of that thing in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, the big box vote showed, even with the city council in its past form, as bad as it was, most of them, the majority of the council had been appointed by Mayor Daley. We're a rubber stamp. We're very, very weak. We're not leaders from the community.
Right.
Even in that environment, we were able to get 32 votes.
Right.
So it's not as if we needed to turn over the entire council.
Right.
We just need to get enough.
A secure block.
We just need to get a block of hardworking, smart, aggressive folks in that city council to go to work with Joe Moore and go to work with Fedrina Lyle and Rick Munoz to help move a much more pro-working family agenda in the city council.
Oh, we'll find out how we did in a moment. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, this question's for Jerry. How are you doing? My name is Kate,
Hi, Kate.
and I am a crossing guard for the city. And I was just wondering wanting to know when Leroy Jones, my union rep, wins his alderman position, what do you plan on doing to support him and help him in his duties as alderman?
Well, my first job is to help Leroy get elected, and I think we're well on our way to that. I think Leroy ran a magnificent primary campaign. It was a big surprise election night that we were able to take on Howard Brookins and take him to a runoff. I'm very confident that we're going to be able to win that race. I think Leroy's got some very bright advisors, and I wouldn't dare to tell him how he should govern.
Yeah, I talk to him now and again.
I wouldn't dare to tell him how to govern. I am happy that we're working very closely with him on his campaign, and I'm confident we're gonna win.
Okay. Hello, you're on the air.
Yes, I wanted to make the point with regard to those races that have not yet been resolved. Now, obviously, as you pointed out, we do have a rubber stamp city council, and the irony is that though we think of the old Mayor Daley as being, the American pharaoh and the boss and the king of machine politics, and we'd like to think that much of that has dissolved away, the reality is that during his reign as mayor, he had actually more opposition in the city council than this mayor does.
That is certainly the case.
And certainly labor put its time and resources behind certain candidates. It was able to influence the election. And we still have a number of outstanding elections there. And for those of us who are still interested, because, given the turnout, we know that Chicagoans aren't terribly interested in politics, especially when we have a mayor whose position is pretty much solidified. We knew going into this election cycle that unless Mayor Daley decided to shoot someone within the eyesight of 20 witnesses, he wasn't going to lose that race.
No, not with the Olympics coming up. That wouldn't happen.
Well, exactly. There was no real contestant. And the reality was, that those people who may have actually offered up some real competition for the mayor, people like Jesse Jackson Jr., or Congressman Gutierrez and others, decided not to run.
Okay, so Steve, what are you asking?
Well, where does your organization stand in terms of supporting those candidates who are still outstanding in terms of their runoffs?
Well, many of the runoffs that exist because we got them there. So, there are labor union members like Leroy in the 21st Ward, and you've got Joanne Thompson, who's an AFSCME member in the 16th Ward, running against Shirley Coleman.
Tony Volks, right?
Tony Volks, a UFCW member, running for an open seat in the 15th Ward. So we've got rank-and-file union members across the board that we got to runoffs, and we fully expect to elect every single one of them to the council.
Right, and so we have a certain list of priorities for
Absolutely. And there are some races, there are 12 runoffs, which is, frankly, more than double the number of runoffs we expected. So clearly we can't play as heavy in every single one of them. But our priorities will be where are our best possibilities to pick up seats and, of course, to go out and fight the hardest for rank-and-file union members. Because I think it's important. There's a lot of lawyers and there's a lot of long-term politicians and police officers and street and sand workers represented in city council, but not a lot of working men and women. It's probably time that we had some working men and women sitting on that council.
I agree completely. Hello, you're on the air, I think. Hello, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, I just have a quick question. It's not in regards to the, the topic that you guys are speaking of this evening. Basically, it's a grievance question.
Okay, go ahead.
Basically, in a sense, of course, what is the grievance process?
Where do you work, sir?
Well, I used to work at the University of Chicago Hospitals.
Okay.
And, of course, I was dismissed, November 7th of 2005.
2005. Now, the grievance process is you're a little too late to try to get your job back through the grievance procedure, sir. There are time limits, even on a termination. And you should have contacted your union steward or union rep immediately after you were terminated.
Okay, well, ma'am, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Of course, at that time I did.
Okay.
And, of course, he wrote my grievance up for me.
Okay.
I spoke to a gentleman named Jeff Dexter.
Yes.
And he and I were basically playing phone tag. And, of course, nothing was resolved.
Well, I'm afraid it's a cold case, but it's up to Jeff to tell you. Jeff is the new guy, the new man in town in charge of the higher ed division, and I would recommend that you continue to try to reach him because he can give you a more sophisticated view of your situation than I can. But I think that the termination being that old, it's a difficult situation.
Okay, thank
you. Hello, you're on the air.
Yeah, how you doing?
All right, how are you?
I'm just great. This is Paul Malden.
Paul Malden. Haven't heard from you in a month.
Yeah, I just want
How you doing, Paul?
How you doing?
All good.
Great. I just want to let you know that I'm really proud of what the union have done. It makes me proud to be a union member and also executive board member. And the city of Chicago workers are really going to come out and everything because they're seeing what you can do when you get together and you pull yourself together and stop blaming the union for everything and understand that you are the union. So now our people are very happy, so you can count on us. Thank you so very much.
Well, I'm glad we can count on you, y'all, because we got 6 or 7 more weeks of rough road, Paul, where we need all the volunteers, all the purple power we can possibly get. We're going to be out every Saturday canvassing because that's what got Leroy to where he is now. I speak of the campaign I know about. I'm sure it's true of all the campaigns.
Absolutely.
It's the foot soldiers in the streets, knock, 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 on the door, a human being talking to another one,
Right.
handing them a nice piece of material and saying,
Absolutely.
well, Leroy.
And the weather's getting better now.
Yes.
So the cold and the snow is not going to be an excuse anymore. And time changes this week, so we're going to have even more light.
More light in the
More
evening
light to
after
work.
So you can get even more exhausted fighting for what we believe in the 21st in particular.
Okay,
and we are going to be needing every single one of us out on Saturdays, out at the phone bank when we get it reestablished, in order to put this one over the top. Now, Leroy got 34%, right?
Yes.
Now, let's not portray this as an easy road to hoe, right?
No. This is a difficult race. This
Right.
is Brookins is an entrenched incumbent first-termer, and oftentimes it's difficult to beat a first-termer because you have to have a compelling reason to kick them out of office because they just kick.
They must have to really have been bad.
They have
right?
to have really been bad. Now,
Right.
I think Leroy's gotten to where he is right now on the strength of a very, very strong grassroots campaign and a strong persuasion program, which we helped to run. But frankly, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. But, Alderman Brookins has kind of painted himself into a corner, too.
Yeah.
A week before the election, he came out and endorsed against Mayor Daley. So I think it's very, very unlikely that anyone's going to be coming to his aid.
He didn't endorse Mayor Daley?
No, he endorsed Doc Walls.
Oh, he did?
Which has pretty much, I think, should preclude Mayor Daley helping Alderman
Yeah, Mayor
Brookins.
Daley's going to pick and choose who he wants
Absolutely.
to help.
So,
yeah.
but there will be other elected officials other than Mayor Daley who come in to assist Alderman Brookins. As we found on the north side, where we're fighting very powerful elected officials who don't want the labor movement to get a base in their communities.
Right.
We're facing the same thing on the south side.
Yes, we are.
Where long-term entrenched elected officials on the south side don't want us to get a base in that community any more than the north side elected officials. So,
Right.
a lot of the power elite will be lining up against us in the coming weeks, and it's going to take the foot soldiers
Purple sweat.
knocking on doors, making the phone calls. It's going
Right.
to make the difference.
Hello, you're on the air.